Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring the roles of women in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
Specifically, we're going to be focusing on this General Conference address by Joy D. Jones. She's the primary general president. The talk is called An Especially Noble Calling from April 2020.
Right.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, but why should I care?
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to see here is that this isn't just about religious doctrine,
Right.
It's about understanding how this address connects historical context to personal revelation, to individual action in a way that I think might really surprise you.
Yeah. It's really a fascinating talk. And I think one of the things that really struck me about it, right from the beginning, Sister Jones, she uses quotes from President Nelson, and she draws on early Relief Society history to really emphasize this significant role that women have always played. It's like she's reminding everyone, that women have always been essential to the church.
That's right.
It's not a new thing.
Yeah, it's not a new thing at all.
Yeah.
And she definitely lays that foundation.
Right.
But then she doesn't stop at just acknowledging the past, does she?
No, she doesn't.
She brings in this quote from President Kimball, where he says that being a righteous woman in these times is an especially noble calling.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what do you make of that phrasing?
Oh, that's interesting.
Especially considering, the time period when he said it.
Well, President Kimball often spoke about the winding up scenes of the earth.
Oh, yeah.
Referring to that time
Okay.
leading up to the second coming of Christ.
Right.
And it seems like he really believed that women have this, unique capacity to kind of navigate the complexities of modern times.
Yeah.
And even help others do the same.
Right.
It's as if he's saying, like, your strength as a woman, it's especially needed now.
Yeah. That's a powerful way to look at it. Then she goes on and she shares that anecdote about President Nelson with the primary children.
Yes.
It's a sweet story on the surface, but knowing President Nelson,
Right.
there's usually a deeper message there.
Oh, for sure.
What do you think he was really trying to convey?
I think it's so subtle, but brilliant. He uses the example of learning a musical instrument to illustrate this idea that consistent effort is key to spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Just like practice is to musical skill.
Right.
He seems to be saying, spiritual progress, it isn't about instant perfection.
Right.
It's about continually striving to improve.
Yeah.
What stood out to you about that interaction?
What struck me was how he focused on their effort, not necessarily their current skill level.
Right.
And I thought, wow, that's such a good reminder that we're all works in progress. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that idea of continual striving, that ties directly into how Sister Jones then dives into principles that are drawn from Joseph Smith's first vision experience.
Okay.
And it's not just a history lesson here.
Right.
It seems like she's providing a framework for women to seek personal revelation and act on it in their lives.
And she makes a point of saying that the Lord expects women to receive revelation.
Yes.
That's a big deal, right?
That is significant, yes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of religions don't emphasize that kind of direct communication with God.
Right.
Especially for women.
Yeah. So in the Latter-day Saint tradition, then, revelation isn't just for prophets or leaders.
No.
It's for everyone.
Right. It's for everyone.
Yes, it's for everyone.
And that expectation really speaks to, the belief in the divine potential of women and the power of that personal connection with God.
Yes.
So you don't have to wait for someone else to tell you what to do.
Right.
You can seek that guidance.
Directly from the source.
Exactly.
I love that. But then she talks about avoiding, general conference overwhelm.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think
for sure.
we can all relate to, right?
I mean, I've definitely been there.
Yeah, me too.
So I think we can all relate to that.
So how does that feeling of just being overwhelmed tie into this idea of personal revelation and a woman's own individual path?
I love that she brings that up.
Yeah.
Because she's acknowledging that it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the things you could be doing.
Right.
But I think what she's saying is that revelation helps you prioritize.
Okay.
It's about trusting that you'll receive guidance for your own unique circumstances rather than trying to do everything at once.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
She shifts to a discussion of priesthood power.
Okay.
Now, For those who might be unfamiliar with this concept, can you explain what priesthood means in the Latter-day Saint tradition?
Yeah.
And how it relates to women, particularly in the context of this talk?
Yeah, so in the Latter-day Saint faith, the priesthood is seen as God's power and authority on earth.
Okay.
And while it has traditionally been associated with men holding specific offices,
Right.
this talk really emphasizes that both women and men
Okay.
can access that power through covenants
Okay.
they make with God,
Uh-huh.
especially covenants made in temples.
So it's less about gender
Right.
and more about
Yeah.
accessing this power through your individual commitments to God.
Exactly.
Now, what are covenants exactly?
Well, covenants are sacred promises
Oh, good.
between individuals and God. So
Okay.
think of them as two-way commitments.
Okay.
God outlines blessings he'll give,
Uh-huh.
and individuals commit to live in a certain way.
Right.
And these covenants create this unique connection
Okay.
that allows both women and men
Okay.
to draw upon divine power.
Gotcha. So you're making these promises or commitments to God,
Right.
and then in turn, you're able to access this power through that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what I find fascinating is that Sister Jones actually admits that she didn't always realize she had access to this power
Right.
through her covenants.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like even she had to go through this process
Yeah, no.
of understanding her own spiritual authority.
I think that's so relatable, right?
Yeah.
Because for so long, I think, we haven't really...
We haven't talked about it.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah.
And so it reflects this broader shift, I think, in the church
Okay.
towards emphasizing the spiritual power that's available to women
Okay.
through their covenants,
Right.
regardless of their relationship to men who hold priesthood offices.
Right.
It's as if she's saying,
Yeah.
you have this power within you. Explore it.
Yeah. And then to kind of bring it all together,
Yeah.
she closes by focusing on hearing, following, trusting,
Yes.
and extending Christ's love as the preeminent role of women in the church.
Right.
Now, how do you see this connecting to everything else
Yeah.
she's discussed so far?
Well, it seems like she's saying that, beyond specific duties or callings, a woman's most important role is her connection to Christ
Okay.
and her capacity to act as an instrument of his love.
Uh-huh.
And this focus on love, it kind of creates this spiritual foundation for everything else
Right.
she does in life.
It's about more than just checking off boxes. It's
Yeah.
about
It's about being...
cultivating that deep connection with the divine.
Right.
And
Yeah.
letting it kind of flow outward into every aspect of life.
Exactly. And you don't have to make these, grand gestures to make a difference.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most impactful contributions come from those everyday acts of kindness and service.
Right.
So think about the impact you can have within your own sphere of influence, your family, your friends, your community.
It's about those small, consistent acts of love that just ripple outward,
Yeah.
creating a more compassionate and harmonious world.
Yes.
It reminds me of that quote, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes.
And I think, it all starts with each of us, right?
Absolutely. And I think Sister Jones does a beautiful job of reminding us that we don't have to do it all alone. We can rely on personal revelation,
Right.
that connection with a higher power to guide us and give us strength.
It's like having a divine compass to kind of help us navigate the complexities of life and make choices that align with our highest values.
That's a great way to put it.
But it's not always easy to hear that inner voice, is it?
No, it's not.
How can we be better
That's true.
at attuning ourselves to that guidance?
It's a practice, like anything else.
Okay.
It takes time and intention, creating space for stillness, for reflection, for prayer or meditation can really help quiet the noise of the world
Right.
and allow that inner voice to emerge.
Yeah.
And remember, it's not always a booming voice.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a whisper, a gentle nudge, a feeling of peace or clarity.
So it's about paying attention
Yes.
to those subtle cues,
Right.
those moments of insight that might come when we least expect them.
Yeah.
I love how Sister Jones reminds us that it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
It's not about being perfect.
Exactly.
It's about
Continually
striving
Yeah.
to align our actions with our highest aspirations.
Beautifully said.
And it's a journey we're all on together,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
We can learn from each other's experiences, we can support each other through challenges, and we can celebrate each other's triumphs. We're all in this together, trying to figure out how to live our best lives and make a positive impact on the world.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Sister Jones's powerful message, I want to leave you with this question to ponder. How can you embrace this especially noble calling to hear, follow, trust, and extend love in your own unique way? What small step can you take today to embody these principles in your daily life?
That's a wonderful question to consider.
Yeah.
Remember, every act of love, no matter how small, contributes to creating a brighter future for us all.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
I hope so.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep striving, and keep shining your light.
I love that. Keep shining your light. Yeah, it's a beautiful way to tie everything together.
Yeah,
it's like she's saying, beyond specific duties or callings, a woman's most important role is her connection to Christ and her capacity to act as an instrument of his love. This focus on love.
Yeah.
It creates a spiritual foundation for everything else she does in life.
Yeah, and it's about more than just checking off boxes, right? It's about cultivating that deep connection with the divine and letting it flow outward into every aspect of life.
Yes.
But this talk isn't just for those who identify as Latter-day Saints, is it?
No, not at all.
I mean, what resonates with you on a personal level, regardless of your beliefs?
What strikes me is how universally applicable these principles are. Like the idea of personal revelation that resonates with anyone who's seeking guidance and direction in their lives.
That's true.
It's about trusting your intuition, that inner voice that speaks to you.
Yeah. And that idea of continual striving that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
It's not about being perfect right now. It's about embracing the process of growth and learning.
Absolutely.
Wherever you are in your journey.
Yeah. And Sister Jones doesn't shy away from addressing the very real struggle of feeling overwhelmed. That general conference overwhelm she mentioned.
Yeah.
That resonates with anyone who's ever felt pressure to do it all and be it all.
It's like you leave a conference or a workshop or even just finish reading an inspiring book. And you're like, okay, I'm going to change everything. And then reality sets in and you're like, oh, I can't do all of that. And you just feel paralyzed by the sheer magnitude of it all.
Exactly. But I think what Sister Jones is reminding us is that personal revelation can help us prioritize. It's about receiving guidance for our own individual circumstances rather than trying to take on everything at once.
So it's about trusting that inner wisdom to guide you on your own unique path. Now that kind of brings us back to this concept of priesthood power, which can seem a little confusing for those outside of the faith. If it's not limited by gender, how does that change our understanding of how women can access and use this power in their lives?
That's a great question.
What kind of impact could that have?
Well, if priesthood power is accessible to both men and women through covenants, it suggests a much broader definition of spiritual authority. It means that women aren't reliant on men to access God's power. They have a direct line, so to speak.
And that idea of covenants being these two-way commitments with God, does that change how we view our relationship with the divine? Does it make it feel more like a partnership?
I think it does. It's not just about blindly following rules. It's about actively engaging in a relationship with God, making promises, striving to live in a way that invites his blessings into our lives.
And what's so powerful about Sister Jones's personal story is that she admits she didn't always understand the depth of that connection. It makes it feel so relatable.
It does. It's like we're all on this journey of discovering and embracing our own spiritual power. And it highlights the importance of continuing to learn and grow in our understanding of the divine. It's a reminder that revelation isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. So as we're kind of wrapping up here, we come back to this idea of hearing, following, trusting, and extending Christ's love. If this is the most important role for women in the church, what does that actually look like in practice? How do you see those actions playing out in a woman's daily life?
Well, I think it's about approaching everything you do with love as your guiding principle.
Okay.
It's about listening with empathy, acting with compassion, and extending forgiveness, even when it's hard.
So it's about recognizing the divinity within yourself and others.
Yes.
And letting that guide your interactions, big and small.
Does that resonate with how you view the world?
It does.
Outside of the specific religious context.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We all have the capacity to be instruments of love, regardless of our backgrounds or beliefs.
Right.
It's about tapping into that wellspring of compassion within each of us.
Yeah.
And letting it flow outward.
And maybe that's what makes this calling especially noble. It's about something bigger than ourselves.
Right.
It's about contributing to a more loving and compassionate world.
It's about recognizing that our actions, even the seemingly small ones, have the power to make a difference.
We all have that potential.
We do.
To be a force for good in the world.
Yes.
It's a beautiful message.
It really is. And what makes her message so compelling is that it goes beyond just defining roles or outlining responsibilities. It speaks to something much deeper. You know, more fundamental about our human experience.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It taps into that innate desire we all have for connection, for purpose, for making a meaningful contribution to the world.
Yes.
It's like she's saying that we're not just here to go through the motions, you know?
Yeah.
But to strive for something more? To leave the world a little brighter than we found it?
Exactly. And you don't have to make these grand gestures to make a difference.
Right.
Sometimes the most impactful contributions come from those everyday acts of kindness and service.
Right.
So think about the impact you can have within your own sphere of influence.
Okay.
Your family, your friends, your community.
Yeah. It's about those small, consistent acts of love that just ripple outward.
Yes.
Creating a more compassionate and harmonious world.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it reminds me of that quote, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes.
It all starts with each of us, right?
Absolutely. And I think Sister Jones does a beautiful job of reminding us that we don't have to do it alone.
Right.
We can rely on personal revelation, that connection with a higher power to guide us and to give us strength.
It's like having that divine compass,
Yeah.
helping us navigate the complexities of life and make choices that align with our highest values.
That's a great way to put it.
But it's not always easy to hear that inner voice, is it?
No, it's not.
How can we be better at attuning ourselves to that guidance?
It's a practice.
Okay.
Like anything else. It takes time and intention.
Right.
Creating space for stillness, for reflection, for prayer or meditation can really help quiet the noise of the world and allow that inner voice to emerge.
And remember, it's not always a booming voice, right?
Right. Sometimes it's a whisper,
a
gentle nudge, feeling of peace or clarity.
So it's about paying attention to those subtle cues, those moments of insight that might come when we least expect them.
That's right.
And I love how Sister Jones reminds us that it's a journey, not a destination. It's not about being perfect.
It's about continually striving.
Yeah, continually striving to align our actions with our highest aspirations.
Beautifully said.
And it's a journey we're all on together.
We are.
You know, we can learn from each other's experiences, support each other through challenges, and celebrate each other's triumphs.
Yes.
We're all in this together, trying to figure out how to live our best lives.
That's right.
And make a positive impact on the world.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Sister Jones's powerful message, I want to leave you with this question to ponder. How can you embrace this especially noble calling to hear, follow trust, and extend love in your own unique way? What small step can you take today to embody these principles in your daily life?
That's a beautiful question to consider.
Yeah.
Remember, every act of love, no matter how small mile, contributes to creating a brighter future for us all.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Me too.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep striving, and keep shining your light.
Beautiful.